Hi, good morning. Welcome to Marketing Monday. My name is Natalie Armstrong-Motin with Marketing Resolution. Today, we're going to talk about getting stuck in the mud. I got my cup of coffee here, ready to go for the day. Hope you are too. Nice thing about coffee, it always has your back, right? All right, so let's talk about being stuck. I want to tell you, it's already been a really long day for me. So let me tell you how my day started. It's a quick story, but I think that it mirrors a lot of the challenges that a lot of us face in promoting our mediation practices. So, my husband, who's lovely, and I spent the early morning hours digging his heavy truck out of the mud. He was getting ready to go to a new job in Paris this week. And so his truck was loaded up with all the equipment that he would need. But as you may know, I live in Normandy, and in Normandy, it rains a lot. And this morning was no exception. And with that additional rain, his two-ton truck sunk deep into the mud. And so when he pressed on the gas pedal, the front tires of that big truck just spun, kicking up wet muck and clay, but going nowhere. Now, here's the thing. My husband is amazing. Not only is he incredibly hardworking, but he's also my partner in everything that we do. We support each other through every challenge. We always find a way to have fun, even in really messy situations like this morning. And whether we're solving, big life problems or just figuring out how to get a truck unstuck from the mud, we're always a team. And I really appreciate that about him. So, what was the problem that we were facing, and how is it applicable to you and building a mediation practice? Well, this morning, obviously, the truck had all of the power and all of the right equipment, but no grip. The tires were just spinning in place. So we needed friction, something to create a little bit of traction. We looked inside the barn. We found some dry, heavily gritty dirt on the barn floor, scooped it up, laid down a few thick boards under the tires. We used a lever. We found the right tools. I mean, it was a pretty simple fix, really, but it worked like magic. And the truck was finally up and out of the mud, and he was on his way. So, what does that have to do with your mediation practice? Well, I mean, it wasn't just the friction and the wooden boards that helped. It was he and I working together. That's really important to this story. But the same is true for promoting your mediation practice. You could be fully equipped, but even with the right support, whether that's from another person, a consultant, or technology, you could struggle to gain traction. And as always, you don't have to go about building your practice alone. Sometimes it takes teamwork and collaboration to get unstuck and moving forward. If that's not a person, it could be technology. So I get a lot of calls. I have a lot of conversations and consultations, and I get a lot of emails from mediators who feel just like my husband's truck this morning, just sort of stuck in place, stuck in the mud. They're working hard. They're attending networking events. They're building websites. They're sending out emails. And despite all of these efforts, they're just not seeing the growth that they expect to see. And they tell me, I'm putting in the effort, but I feel like I'm spinning my wheels. That might sound familiar to you. If it does, know that you're not alone. A lot of mediators find it challenging to develop their practice in a way that creates sustainable growth. And I think that a lot of the times the problem isn't that you're not trying hard enough, or that your efforts aren't focused in the right areas, or that you're lacking the right quote unquote friction that helps you gain traction. And I think more often than not, the missing ingredients could be teamwork, partnering with the right people, the right mentors, the right support staff, the right tech tools to help you get where you need to go. So, given that this is a pretty common pitfall, let's talk about some things that lead us to spinning our wheels. I think one of the places that we fall down a lot is not knowing where to start. You've got the skills, but you feel overwhelmed by all of the different marketing options that are available to you maybe, or maybe there's a lack of focus. You're trying to be everywhere at once, on every social media platform, networking with everyone, or offering every type of mediation service. Or maybe you're relying on outdated or ineffective strategies. Maybe you've been using the same marketing tactics for years, but the landscape has shifted. And the same can be said for technology and support systems. Without the right friction or without the right help, none of these efforts gain real traction. But I think I can help you with that. Like our dry dirt and wooden boards and a little teamwork, we got things moving, and you can too. So 3 areas I think for creating some marketing traction. How can you leverage a little bit of friction, a little bit of teamwork, again, another person or a little piece of tech that makes that friction effective? So I think my gritty dirt analogy is your networking. So just like gritty dirt gave the tires something to grab onto, targeted networking gives your practice something to grip. Networking doesn't have to be done alone. Of course, it can be daunting for any of us to go alone. You can partner with colleagues or mentors or even a consultant to help you open new doors and make some valuable introductions. You could just really simply start by identifying your niche, your target market, and really focus on networking with just those folks most likely to hire you. Focus really on those industry-specific events. You could join online forums, you could get involved in the local organizations, etc., but all within your niche. And then, of course, we go back to teamwork as always. And networking, I think, is really amplified when you collaborate. Attend events, like I said, with a mentor, with a colleague, and let them make those introductions to the right people. Let's see, we've got a chat here. Shia says, good morning. Good morning. Thanks for joining. All right, so let's talk about then the analogy of the wooden boards that my husband and I used. That's going to be your branding. Branding is that sort of solid board that gives your practice support. Without it, your message gets lost in the mud, just like my husband's truck was nearly lost in the mud. It's the foundation, and it really defines who you are, what you offer, and why people should come to you. And like with networking, again, you don't have to build your brand alone. You can bring in experts, marketing consultants, graphic designers, and colleagues to review the work that you're putting out there. So you just want to make sure that your online presence, your website, your social media platforms, any materials reflect your value proposition, right? Ensuring that there's consistency across all the platforms, etc. And then again, work with a team. The ongoing traction. Hey, Jack in Southern California, nice to have you here. You probably know what it is to get stuck in the muds when it rains heavy in Southern California. So the ongoing traction, that is your content. So just like tires need a continuous friction to keep moving, you need to consistently engage your audience to keep building the momentum. And this is where your content comes in. It could be articles, blog posts, videos, podcasts. Again, let technology be your teammate here, but making content creation and distribution easier and more effective is really that ongoing traction that you're looking for. You want to create content that speaks to your target audience's needs and concerns. You can share the real stories of ADR, obviously change the details to protect the parties, but you can talk about the overall process. You can talk about the communication skills. You can talk about the challenges. You can talk about the big wins, right? And then, of course, don't be afraid to repurpose any content. You can use an article to build a video. You can create a social media post. You could even put your story in a short email newsletter. And again, you think about teamwork. Use technology tools like the AI-driven content generators or scheduling platforms to automate some of your content creation and distribution, and that will let you reach more people more effectively, more efficiently. So The other thing I wanted to talk about this morning is sort of the unsung heroes of my morning mud debacle. And those unsung heroes are elbow grease and tenacity. I think friction helped create the traction that we needed. It didn't happen without effort. We had to, dig the truck out. We had to spread the dirt. We had to strategically place the boards. We had to communicate about all of these things that we were doing. And we had to try more than once. The first few attempts didn't work right away, but we didn't give up, and neither should you. Marketing your mediation practices is the same. You can have all the right tools, networking, branding, content, but without that consistent effort and the tenacity to keep trying, progress could be slow. But the key is apply the effort strategically. Focus on what works, double down on that. And then again, don't forget, just like neither I nor my husband could have dug that 2-ton truck out alone, you don't have to go through your practice development alone either. Again, find a colleague, a consultant, a mentor, a tech tool, but teamwork really does make the difference between spinning your wheels and moving forward. That reminds me, before I get too much further into my story, I should acknowledge that I have lots of teammates. I've got people, I've got cups, I've got pups, and they all help me move forward. Jeff Kitchaven and Jean Lawler, they work alongside me and each other on the Will Work for Food initiative. We bring together every week presenters who generously share their stories and their knowledge with the legal community and encourage the attendees to those live webinars to make a donation to a feed bank in exchange for having received a free presentation. It's really an inspiring project, near and dear to my heart, and I'm really grateful for the people I work with and the people who work with me. I also need to give a shout out to a viewer of these videos, Mr. Bischoff. He didn't just look at my website over the weekend, but he actually took the time to read the content on my website. And in doing so, he kindly pointed out that there was a typo I hadn't noticed. His attention to detail and his generosity for letting me know that there was an error, just another reminder of how we're sort of all part of this larger, bigger team, helping each other improve. And I really appreciate that he communicated with me. Of course, my teammate, good old cup of coffee, can't forget that. It keeps me fueled through all the countless hours of the work I do. I've also got a lovely pup right here at my feet, my dog, Janny. She consistently reminds me to stand up, step away from the computer, take a break, take a walk in the rain and the mud, and have a little joyful moment. She really is an essential part of my team, making sure that I take time to recharge. I hope you have someone who helps you with that also. So to wrap up, just like we did with the truck this morning, sometimes it takes simple but smart steps to move forward. And laying down the right kind of friction through focused networking, clear branding, consistent content, and adding in a little bit of elbow grease and some persistent effort, you'll stop spinning your wheels, and you'll start gaining some real traction in your practice, the thing that I really want for you. And then don't forget the power of teamwork. Can't say it enough. Whether it's collaborating with a colleague, hiring a consultant, leveraging technology, you're not in this alone. Just like my husband and I worked together to get his big old truck up and out of the mud, having the right support really can make all the difference in moving your practice forward. Now, my husband and I, we were horrifically muddy and sweaty and breathing heavily by the time we finally got his truck unstuck. But that sense of satisfaction when he pulled out onto the road was worth every bit of the effort. And that's what you can expect when you combine the right tools, persistence and teamwork in building your mediation practice, that rewarding sense of accomplishment when you finally get that momentum that you've been working toward. And if you need help, if you need a team member or you need some tech or you need a resource, you need information about a mentor, let me know. Reach out and let me do what I can to help you find the right support systems to make all of these things possible in getting you unstuck as well. So that's it for me on Marketing Monday. I hope your week is off on a great, solid road and not stuck in the mud. Take care this week. Be good humans. Bye-bye.